Alright guys, good work. Let's just get ready for tonight's game. Sorry mate, looks like that work permit's not going to come through. You might just be better off suiting up into your number ones, albeit phone call. Just hold on a second, mate. Hello, Does FM speaking.
Hi Shaun, Jason Pine, the voice of New Zealand football here. How you doing, mate?
Oh, Piney, good. Look, I'm just ringing the boys for a bit of pre-match stuff. Is this important?
It sure is, buddy. Look, I'm just the final check here for your new player's work permit. Everything should be going through in time for the game. Just one more thing we've got to do, the commentator's check. Just want to check this one because here's South American, which looks a little bit of a struggle for me. Can you run me through how you pronounce it?
Yeah. Are you sure you want to do this one though? Not the new guy from Cameroon. That one looks a bit trickier, honestly, on paper.
Nah, mate, I've got that one down packed thanks to my African brothers. Just struggling with the South American newbie.
Okay, well, it's just how it looks, but with a bit of Brazilian flair. So, RONALD.
Ronald.
Yeah, a bit of Brazilian flair, Piney, not none. So, RONALD.
Ronald.
Oh, jeez. I tell you what, I'll run you through it in syllables.
Law.
Nailed.
Nailed.
See, perfect. And if we put them together,
Ronald.
oh, geez. Yeah, perfect, mate. Absolutely nailed it that fourth time. So that's all good. Then he can play tonight.
Yeah, all good, mate. I tell you what, you're lucky you got me. I'm the best voice in New Zealand for football, mate. These other commentators would have taken them days. I'll see you tonight and for the next game of the Park tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you at both of those, mate. Yeah, good call. I'll see you later. Yeah, bye. Commentators check. Plan B, boys. Plan B. Ronald, starting.
Party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 12 of the New Zealand Building Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with AFC Auckland. And coming up today, we reveal our transfers going into the second season with the Auckland team in the A-League. And we're going to play our first game against one of the newly promoted teams. At home, we take on Sydney Olympics. So if you're looking forward to that, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but we've gone for a couple of months off the back of yesterday's episode, which was focused on the All Whites and the OFC Nations Cup. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Thankfully, did get the job done. A little bit of a scare early in the final in that competition, but thankfully in the end we picked up a pretty comfortable win and are going through with a fair bit of confidence to some World Cup qualifiers later on in 2024 in game. Off the back of that, we have done some transfers with AFC Auckland. We had a transfer budget of just under £3 million off the back of finishing second in the A-League last season. That did mean in theory that we should have got a spot in the Asian continental competitions, one of them for this upcoming season. I can reveal, if we go and have a look at the season preview, it will confirm it. That is not the case. So unfortunately, it looks like there's no continental football for us here with AFC Auckland, albeit that shouldn't affect us too much, at least in terms of the overall goal of the save to get New Zealand up to a good spot and hopefully to contend for a World Cup, ideally through signing some good players here at AFC Auckland, but it might impact our ability to increase the reputation of the club, albeit I think that's gone up a half star off the back of our first season of the save, but it does mean that we've mostly got A-League football to look forward to when we do come back for these AFC Auckland episodes, albeit this season we do have the Australian Cup. That's a competition that we didn't take part in last season. Early on, we take on a team that we should be freshing. Hopefully that will be the case. There'll be one for me to play off camera off the back of today's episode. But as I said, we had a decent transfer budget going into the second season of the save, albeit we did kind of need it off the back of the retirement of one of our key players from last season. And that was this man, Winston Reid, as we revealed late in yesterday's episode. He retired, could no longer handle the vigours of professional football. A-League so big and whatnot. So Winston Reid these days looking for work as an assistant manager or a manager, but not a very good one. So we might just let him develop before we ever look at him for a coaching role here at AFC Auckland. So that was one unexpected player that we did need to replace, albeit the first transfer that we did make actually kind of a replacement for him, albeit at the time didn't realise that was going to be the case. And that was the signing of this free man from Cyprus, only 18 years old. This is Georgios Viktoros. He looks like a really promising centre-back, 2.5 stars current ability, 4-star goal potential, 5-star he could get up to. To be fair, signing someone from Cyprus, probably not the greatest idea for the Builder Nation side of this challenge, because Cyprus actually a worse team than us. So probably at some stage he will get called up to the national team if he does perform quite well, which you'd imagine with that potential that he does have. But he looks like a big, meaty, promising boy at the back, 1.9 metres tall, loves to tackle, loves to jump in the air, so he could be quite a good threat for us from set piece. But that was our first signing on a free transfer, and also quite a cheap wage. Georgios Viktoros, the Cypriot, joins us at AFC Auckland previously, was playing for Nia Salamina, and they are over in his homeland. Quite lucky to pick him up on a free, I think it is fair to say, especially if for some reason Cyprus forget about him and don't pick him for international games. So that was our first signing that we did make. Off the back of that, we made our first sale in this transfer window, and it's probably one that you'd expect if we go back and make our way to the end of the 2023-24 season. Jamal Rainiers, he has gone to Green Gully last season, was our third choice striker. Did feel like free strikers with only 20 players that we could register was a little bit too many, especially as we now have someone in our under-19s that we can call up, as they don't need to be registered. So Jamal Rainiers, he made his way to Green Gully, having just made 9 appearances and scored 1 goal for us last season for a fee of £575, which, to be fair, is still a profit, just not a very big one. He's gone to Green Gully, who are down in the National Second Division. That looks like a tier of football that should suit the Rocket Man. So Jamal Rainiers was the first player that we did sell here at AFC Auckland. Off the back of that, we can go forward and have a look at the new season and the transfers that we have made. Of course, the first one's probably the easiest. Alex Paulson coming on a free from the Wellington Phoenix. You knew about this one since episode 7. I believe it was about this time last week. Got him on a pre-contract, seeing as Chiefy did let that expire for some silly reason. 3.5 star current ability, 4.5 star potential. He's been our regular first choice goalkeeper for the New Zealand national team, so good to get him here to AFC Auckland, and also on a pretty good wage, especially compared to the other goalkeepers that we previously did have on our books, or still have on our books, and Scott Basilage and Stefan Marinovic. But definitely Alex Paulson, first choice goalkeeper for us this season at AFC Auckland. Hopefully concedes a few less goals than he did with the Phoenix last season, because that was quite a high number. Hopefully a bit more solid at the back here at AFC Auckland this season, even though we no longer have Winston Reid. So that was the first signing, pretty easy one. Off the back of that, we did make our next sale. This was a player we loaned out last season once we realised we didn't have space to register him. This was Stefan Kolakovsky, and for some reason, the Central Coast Mariners have signed him, which I don't really get with these guys being the champions. I don't think he's good enough for them. As you can see, current ability-wise, would be a good player for a second division team, but thankfully, this was a transfer that we didn't lose money on, which was quite surprising. I thought that one was going to be a bit of a loss for us. Thankfully, the Central Coast, they have bailed us out. We'll see if he gets any game time for those guys in this upcoming season. But Stefan Kolakovsky, he has gone over to the 2-time defending champions. Just not really too sure why, because he didn't look very good. Off the back of that, we then signed a player. This was the out-and-out replacement for Winston Reid at centre-back, albeit definitely not as good, but could be someone in the future who might have a sneaky shot at going into the national team. This is Lucas Nunez. To be fair, signed him also for a bit of versatility. As you can see, can play centre-back, defensive midfield, and a little bit of right-back as well, but mainly for us, he'll be that centre-back coming in for Winston Reid and starting alongside Adam Mitchell this upcoming season. There's a few holes in his game. We're going to play him as a central defender on defend. Adam Mitchell will step into the central defender who plays a stopper like Winston Reid was doing last season. But he's got a couple of good attributes there. A little bit shorter than I would like for a centre-back, and also we're going to try and get him to stop running with the ball so much. The first player trait that we are giving him here at AFC Auckland, but he is a fairly young Uruguayan with a little bit of potential and 3.5 star current ability. He could be a useful player for the All Whites potentially in the future. albeit centre-back is quite a strong position with the likes of Tyler Bindon and also Lucas Kelly-Heald down at the Wellington Phoenix, but he's a decent replacement to come in for Winston Reid. To be fair, we did pay a little bit of money for him, £325,000, but hopefully he'll do a decent job for us at centre-back alongside Adam Mitchell and in front of the new signing in Alex Paulson. Off the back of that, the next thing we did was get rid of our starting left-back from last season. This one might be a bit surprising. Michael Neal, the former Sydney Olympic man, won't get a chance here to face his former club. He went to the Redcliffe Waves, these days down in the second division. As you can see, that current ability and potential did just drop down a little bit for us, so I felt like it might be a good time to cash in on him. Very good for us last season, did take that starting left-back spot over Nathan Lobo, but £140,000 for a player we only spent 75 on. That did seem like pretty good money, and to be fair, he started off life in the second division in pretty good form, picking up player of the game there for the Redcliffe Waves in one of his two appearances, but we cashed in on him after only one season and did invest in a new left back, and he came through the door only one day later. This is Avanda Bungo. We signed him out of Cameroon. He's 22 years old and looks very, very promising, and he went straight into the overall Dream 11 for the A-League, so our first player who made his way into that team. 4 stars current ability, 4.5 star potential, and he looks like a really good left back option for us for the future of the save. And also, he would be the second best left back in New Zealand, in behind Libby Kakache, if he does eventually qualify for the national team. There's quite a drop off in between Kakache and the likes of James McGarry, so we signed him. Hopefully he won't get picked by Cameroon, albeit we'll see how that goes. I am hopeful though, considering he has got no youth caps for Cameroon when he was a youngster, but good player here at 22 years old. We got him, in fact it was out of Estonia, not Cameroon. He's been around Europe of late. Hopefully will do a decent job for us as the replacement for Michael Neal at left back. He is quite a promising player, could be a good one for the future of the save. Off the back of that, some release clauses got triggered, the first of which Scott Basilage. To be fair, with Alex Paulson coming in, wasn't too disappointed about this one. Signed him on a free from Wellington Olympic last season. He was pretty good the first half of the season. Actually wanted to see what he would do, considering he was a player who could represent New Zealand, but there's quite a few better goalkeepers out there than him, and he has gone to the Melbourne Victory, which is a bit of a surprise for £42,500. Yet again, decent profit for us there on that transfer. We'll see if he gets much game time for the Victory. Otherwise, Wellington Olympic, they can feel a bit dirty on us about that one, but Scott Basilage to the Melbourne Victory for £42,500, so it does mean Marinovic and Paulson are our goalkeepers currently going in to the new season. And then we did get another player to come through the door, and to be fair, this was foreshadowing what was about to happen at the start of August, and Sebastian Pasquale, he joined us having been released from Western United. He looks like a half-decent deep-line playmaker and was a little bit better than Mitch Oxborough, who, to be fair, one of our better midfielders from last season, started every single game in the A-League, but with 3-star current ability and 4-star potential. This guy does look to have a bit more promise and is a bit younger as well. Not sure if he'll ever be a player we'll consider for the All Whites, because that position is pretty stacked. Our defensive midfield, at least at the moment, with the likes of Joe Bell and with Marco Stamenic as the first choice players, but he is a quite useful player, especially at that age and being homegrown Australia. That should be useful for us, especially when we can start to register 25 players once we get some homegrown ones over the age of 19, and we need 10 of those homegrown Australian players. He still might be quite useful at that point with that 4-star potential. Then our last sale that we did make, as I said, somewhat foreshadowed by that signing, we did get rid of Mitch Oxborough for £10,000. As you can see, that potential and current ability, quite a similar situation there to Michael Neal that we did get rid of previously. 2 goals for us last season was pretty good, but at 29 years old, did feel like he was never really going to be a long-term option for us in this save, and he went to Henan Songshan Longmen over in China for £10,000, yet another transfer that we do make some money on for the former Perth Glory man, and as you saw before, he was replaced by Pascali, and then right on this game day, has come in just in time to make his debut in this first game of the season, and he is, according to the season preview, the best player in the A-League. He's on a ridiculous wage, but say hello to RONALD the Brazilian, 23 years old, 4.5-star current ability, and potential to be fair, 40 of 5-star current ability and potential when I put the contract offer in, but he is on a almighty wage of £11.25 thousand a week, but we'd certainly have that spare in our transfer budget, may as well use it, and he would be an automatic starter for the All Whites, either on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. He's Brazilian with no youth caps, so you'd like to think that won't be an issue getting called up for the Brazilian national team. So hopefully we can keep hold of him, or at the very worst, send him off to the Phoenix, and he can be a player that does play some international football for us at some stage in this save. But he will be the new first choice right winger here at AFC Auckland. That does mean Jack Henry Sinclair goes down to second choice, and at the moment, Mohamed Ihataren will be the backup out left to Gwabin Tormine. That was why we did get rid of Jamal Rainiers, to make sure we had a backup out and out left winger, because of course it does mean that Hassan Jallow can get used as an out and out striker instead. So that was the transfer business that we did do. This one in particular, certainly the pick of them, those physicals, they look very, very good indeed. And what that means for the season preview going into the season, you might have seen it before when we did have a look at the teams that did make their way into the AFC competitions. We are actually quite a way up there this season, predicted to finish 8th. That did jump up off the back of that signing of RONALD, who, as you can see, despite the fact he's not in that Dream 11, is apparently the best player in the A-League above Marco Tullio. That might be because RONALD doesn't play centrally, but apparently RONALD, the best player in the A-League, we do have on our books, and we are certainly right in the fight this season for the title. Odds of only 20-1, a lot shorter than we were last season. As you can see, the 3 new teams, Avondale, South Melbourne and Sydney Olympic, they are heavily favoured to go straight back down to the second division. And first up today, we do take on Sydney Olympic. Before then though, we'll just show you guys what the Wellington Phoenix look like going into this new season. Our fellow New Zealand team, of course, they did lose Alex Paulson to us. They've replaced him with Jalovac, who is a Montenegrin goalkeeper who looks okay, certainly a bit on the older side, but I suppose attribute-wise might even be slightly better than Alex Paulson, but he's a replacement for him. The other bit of big news in terms of the Phoenix is that for some reason they decided to let Oscar Zavada go on a free transfer. He's gone back to Poland. We did trial him, but in the end he wasn't any better than both Gianni Bazoukas or Hassan Jallow. They didn't see a reason to keep him around, especially because even though he wasn't that far away from qualifying to try and represent New Zealand, we've got the likes of Chris Wood, Ben Wayne and Max Matter, who all look like better options as a pressing or advanced forward, which we do use in the national team. So those are the 2 big moves in terms of the Phoenix. It does mean they look a little bit weaker, I would say, but hopefully they'll be able to do enough to make sure they stay in the league and some Australian teams can go down to the second division instead of them. But first up today in the season, it should be a pretty winnable one for us. We take on Sydney Olympic. These were the guys who finished 3rd to just come up from the second division last season. Above them with South Melbourne as champions of the second div, and also Avondale, the team that beat us in our only game that we did play in the Australian League Cup. But based on the odds, this is a team that we should be beating, going with a 4-4-2. Of course, this was the team that we did sign Michael Neal from going into our first season. As you can see, we've done some kits for these guys, tried to mirror what they wear in real life as best as I can, but hopefully it won't be too bad. I might have to change our kits to black for this first game just to make sure there's not too much blue and white clash in this one. But this should be a team that we can beat. Hopefully we get the job done here, especially as this one is at Mount Smart Stadium. So it does mean no bus trip today. We'll try and get one in when we come back for tomorrow's episode. But hopefully nice winnable game for us this season. In terms of the actual media prediction, they are predicted to finish 16th. We were a bit lower than what was stated before on the season preview. We are supposed to be finishing 12th, but still, that's a lot better than our prediction from last season. Good preseason as well. We won all of our games, including most recently a 4-3 win over the Phoenix. Hopefully that shows we should be better than them yet again this season. And because we've got quite a nice fixture first up, it does mean I've been able to rotate our team a little bit going into this first game. A couple of players off the back of pre-season still on a heavy workload, the likes of Adam Mitchell, also Gravine Tormine, Hassan Jallo, who to be fair should really be starting over someone like Gianni Bazookas, but Jallo a bit more injury prone from what I saw last season, so we're going to go with Bazookas for this first game. Also our new centre back and Lucas Nunez and Stefan Malk, they are both also on a heavy workload, so it does mean a couple of changes to our usual first choice 11 going to the new season. Coming in, Alex Paulson of course in goal, DeBango at left back, Pasquale is the deep lying playmaker, Ronald on the right wing. Those would be usual changes. Apart from that though, we've got our backup centre backs for this first game in Havaliers and Invictoros, the young Cyprian, also going forward a bit more. Bruce Azumi, he will start over Stephen Malk on that heavy workload, and the same for Mohamed Ihataran over our player of the season from last year, Ingravine Tormine, albeit we'll see how long Mohamed Ihataran does stay here this season, because he is not too happy about the game time from last season, and for some reason doesn't think he'd get his work permit renewed, even though I'm pretty sure different criteria here than in the UK to how to get a work permit renewed, so I'm pretty sure he'd still get one, but he's not so sure, so maybe we should be looking to replace him before the transfer window closes, because his contract does expire at the end of the season, as does Stefan Marinovic's, and he is opting to explore his contracts. And to be fair, on 7k a week, I wouldn't be too upset with that, so we might be coming back for tomorrow's episode with a new winger and also a new backup goalkeeper. We'll see if we can get rid of Marinovic and of Ihataran. It would be a bit of a shame if we lost Ihataran so early, but he does have really average stamina and is made of glass, so not too sure how useful he was proving in the end. Anyway, apart from that, really good player, just that stamina and that injury proneness, which is proving costly, but hopefully he'll get through this first game of the season and we can pick up 3 points as we take on new boys, Sydney Olympic. And here are the team sheets for this first game of the season. We'll be wearing the black today because don't want to clash with the blue and white stripes of Sydney Olympic. We ran through our team before with the players on a heavy workload, also those new signings. There are Sydney Olympic, a couple of blacked out faces. Hopefully those are real players, but to be fair, most of them are real, but hopefully we can win our opening game of the season at Mount Smart. And a very early highlight in this one, first one in our favour here. We, of course, in the black, thankfully, did make that change. Otherwise, this would be very confusing. Bit of a colour clash. Unfortunately, lose the ball there, but good work there from our new signing in DeBango at left back to win that one back for us. Now Bazookas plays that forward for Mohamed Ihataran. He doesn't even make an effort there, the Sydney Olympic goalkeeper. That is not a good start for the new boys, expected quite heavily to go straight back down as the Wooden Spooners. We make it 1-0. Pasquale plays this one forward to Azumi. Bazookas will pick up an early assist, and good finish there from Mohamed Ihataran into that bottom right corner, and he gives us a very early 1-0 lead. We'll see how ugly this gets. Hopefully it gets quite ugly, kind of like those games we played in yesterday's episode. And it's threatening to already, as we've thrown only 1 minute off the back of that opening goal. Azumi, we'll see what he can do, and probably a rare start he'll get this season. Still a better cam option than Louis Toomey, that's why he's starting there over him. Good chance there, but unfortunately that one does come off the woodwork, but we're still on the attack here for our new signing, and Pasquale goes back here to DeBango, tries to put that one top right corner, goes just over the bar, but we've taken an early 1-0 lead. And very short off the back of that previous highlight, now down the other end here is Sydney Olympic. They have a free kick, but Alex Paulson can claim that one safely. First touch, I think that is, for our new AFC Auckland goalkeeper, a player who should be here for quite a long time. These days, captain is Jack Henry Sinclair. A little bit interesting that, of course, as he's not a starter. The vice-captain, though, is Stefan Malk. Some changes there off the back of the departure of Winston Reid, but yet again, we are on the attack. DeBango makes his way down that left-hand side, squares that one. 40 was looking there for Azumi, but Bazookas will bundle that one home. Gianni, a player I considered selling with only 2.5 star current ability, 3 star potential. He's had a blinder of a star, and to be fair, couldn't find a striker better than him anyway in the transfer market, but he scores a goal to go alongside his assist, and this already might be turning into a bit of a bloodbath here for the new boys. We take a 2-0 lead at the 10-minute mark. And lots of highlights early in this one. 13 minutes gone. We are now taking a short free kick. Azumi will try to put that one top right corner, but yet again he hits the post. But fair to say, we are all over Sydney Olympic in the first 15 minutes of this one. We'll sneak a praise in there. Now we have a corner going far post there, looking for Havales. Pascali tries to chest that one down, looking for Debango. Can't quite do it, but thankfully get that ball back there through the big tall Cypriot in Victoros. And now we have the ball here through Bazookas in the centre of the field. Sullivan picks out Elliott in a bit of space. Some good work here down our right-hand side. RONALD gets his first touch I've seen in an AFC Auckland shirt. Apparently the best player in the A-League. Now it's Sullivan on the ball. Gets tackled, but good work there from Pascali. And yet again we get something going here down our right-hand side. Cullen Elliott sizes his man up there. Takes on the shot, but that one, it comes off the post. We're peppering the goal here of Sydney Olympic. And it's already threatening this one that it could be a very one-sided affair to open the season, but we do have that 2-0 lead coming up to the 20-minute mark, and now another throw in here in our favour. I do think this game might take a little while based on what I'm seeing so far, but Debango, he'll pick out Hataran, back to Sullivan, back out to Debango. Now Pascali somewhat loose on the ball. Debango actually does really well there, does the current Cameroonian, hopefully one day will become a Kiwi. We try to float that one there to his right-back partner, and Elliott kind of finds him, and we're back on the attack. RONALD, he'll fizz this one into the mix of the goalkeeper, parries it away, and Bruce Azumi will score his first goal this season after a couple of cracks where he did hit the post, and Bruce Azumi, he gets off the mark. Of course, scored a goal on debut last season for us at AFC Auckland, and he scores in the first goal of this new A-League season as well. Looks like we're going to coast to a win in our first game of the season, as we're already 3-0 up. And very shortly off the back of that third goal, now it's a free kick here in our favour. Trying to pick out a Hataran, they clear it there to Sydney Olympic, but good work there, and now Debango back on the ball so far, having a relatively impressive debut on a 7.2, especially after only 20 minutes. Now Hataran so far doing a good job down that left-hand side, but as I say that, loose pass, Sydney Olympic try to clear their lines there. We get it back here. Now Sullivan plays that forward to Bazookas. Now Elliott makes his way forward down that right-hand side. Might look to square this one for a teammate. He does. It finds Pascali, and he will also score a goal in the first game of the season. That one, his first one for AFC Auckland on debut for the club from the former Western United man. That makes it 4-0. This is starting to feel like one of those games we played in yesterday's episode, albeit not the Tahiti one, where they gave us a big old scare early instead. Probably the PNG one, where we beat them 8-0. We'll see if we can match that here. 4-0, halfway through the first half. And just past the half hour mark, we have the next decent highlight, hopefully, in this game. Couple since you were last here, but only fair chances. This time a free kick here. We try and put that one far post. I think that was looking for our striker in Bazookas, but thankfully Azumi is back on the ball. Takes on a shot. That one takes a big old deflection. Actually quite a good save there from the goalkeeper for Sydney Olympic, but these guys not up to much at all in terms of attack in their first game in the A-League. So far, we are well and truly on the front foot, and it's still at 4-0.
Yeah.
Albeit a bit of a dampener here before halftime. Nick Sullivan will be forced from the field with an injury, hopefully not too serious, albeit was considering giving Tawa Taimon more game time this season anyway, seeing as he does have quite a bit of potential. He'll come on for the last couple of minutes of this first half. As you can tell from those stats, absolutely bettering here the new boys to the A-League in Sydney Olympic, and we'll go into halftime with a 4-0 lead, and that is pretty well deserved, matching our XG. Haven't seen too much on the attack from Sydney Olympic. We've been bettering them in quite a few highlights in this first half, and should be getting underway with a comfortable win with this 4-0 lead. Just going to see here if anyone might be in need of some game time off the bench, and Louis Toomey still lacking some match sharpness, so Pascali can come off Toomey for him. We'll get into the second half with that 4-0 lead. And it's only taken 1 minute of the second half here for the first highlight thrown in our favour. Debango, though, goes for a long one. There might be a chance here for Sydney Olympic to do something on the counter-attack, but Havales nearly wins that ball back for us, but now Sydney Olympic try and get something going down this left-hand side through Parkhouse. He floats this one into the mixer looking for Fitzgerald. We hit it away, but they are still on the attack. A shot, it comes off the inside of the post. Thankfully, doesn't cross the line. Sydney Olympic nearly get on the score sheet early in the second half, no doubt. Got a big rev up from their manager at half-time, but yet again, they are on the attack. Long ball played for there. I think Fitzgerald might have been offside, but Paulson plays it out and might be a chance for us here to actually do something as Bazookas. He now gets in behind from a tight angle, and he'll beat the goalkeeper. He is now on a hat-trick, is Big Gianni, and that makes it 5-0, scoring a goal every 10 minutes. And off the back of an encouraging start to the second half for Sydney Olympic, now their heads might drop yet again as they are really struggling on the road in their A-League debut as Bazookas makes it 5-0. And it's actually taking quite a while before the next highlight in this game, just shy of the 70-minute mark. It is a corner here for Sydney Olympic, and Peter Polites will score the first A-League goal for the Sydney Siders to make it 5-1, which is just a consolation goal. You'd hope that they score one there at the far post, and they'll at least grab something out of this game, also help us not pay a clean sheet bonus as they make it 5-1. And just about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, was just about to make some subs there as a couple of our players have now finally dropped down to red hearts, but we are on the attack, and good work there from RONALD. Absolutely skinned someone there. Good save though from the Sydney Olympic goalkeeper. Without him, this could be very, very ugly. We'll be taking off soon. DeBungo, also Victor Us. It does mean the likes of Mitchell and Lobo will come on the field, but before that can happen, Victor Ross will score on his debut from a set piece, as we said off the back of signing him at the start of today's episode. He should be quite good from those with his jumping reach and his height. Off the back of that, we'll make some changes. Mitchell and Lobo, they can come on. We'll save up that last sub when someone does drop down to a red heart. Does mean they probably won't get ratings, but just want to make sure everyone stays nice and fit, especially off the back of that injury to Sullivan. Hopefully that's not too bad, but Victor Ross scores a debut goal and makes it 6-1 with 10 minutes left. And only a couple of minutes off the back of those previous subs, now it's time for our last one. Cullen Elliott's the player who dropped down to a red heart. Stefan Negro still at the club. He can come on for him. Also, will play things safe and get a tamer on a yellow card to ease off tackles. And about to make our way into injury time in this game, which to be fair has taken quite a while. I've cut out a few highlights, no doubt, when we've been showing you this game because there were lots of highlights. Some of them not too interesting, despite the fact that we are playing on key highlights. But that is a very good first up win for the new A-League season, 6-1, albeit over the team who are heavily expected to go straight back down in Sydney Olympic. We'll see how things go off the back of this, because coming up, we actually play in 2 of our next 3 games. The other teams new up from the second division. We could get off to a bit of a flyer here at AFC Auckland, but thankfully, pretty much everyone who got on the field for us gets a green rating. Alex Paulson, not quite so much, but apart from that, that was a very, very good display from all our debutants. Very dominant performance, and we're going to pick up a big 3 points and really should be top of the A-League off the back of this first round of games as we pick up a 6-1 win over the new boys in Sydney Olympic. And we will go forward and see the other results from this first match week of the A-League before we do wrap up today's episode. But just coming back in to check on both if we actually can qualify for AFC by winning the A-League, because I do think last season that might have been the one spot where the rules didn't change when we were there. So hopefully that might be a workaround to get some continental football. We'll see. But before then, a quick update. This injury to Nick Sullivan, thankfully, not bad at all, just a tight calf. He should be fine for our next game, which to be fair, looks our toughest in the first month. We take on Adelaide United away from home, albeit I think these days those guys are without Nestri or Nkunda. So we'll see how they've replaced him. But while we're here, as I said, we'll just check the rules and see while we're in first place off the back of that big goal differential in our advantage. As you can see, a green line next to us for the first time in the save. But just want to see if that's because we'd be champions or if that's actually because we get continental football and it's not continental football. So unfortunately, I think we can rule that out for this entire save, but I don't think, as I said, it will make too much difference for the overall goal involving the national team. But that's a brilliant start to the season, a 6-1 win over Sydney Olympic. And we've gone forward too late on Sunday, so everyone's played their first game now in this first round of the new A-League season. We do stay top thanks to that very good goal differential off the back of that 6-1 win over Sydney Olympic. Other results, Western United defeat Melbourne City. Bit of a surprise that one. Brisbane beat South Melbourne only by a scoreline of 1-0. Below that though, bit of an upset. Avondale, they might be a decent team. Of course, beat us on penalties in the League Cup last season. They've beat the Newcastle Jets in Newcastle 3-1. They might be a team to be respected. Also, Sydney, they beat Adelaide 2-0. Hopefully, that means we should beat them in our second game of the season, and the Central Coast Mariners get a red card when drawing with Western Sydney Wanderers 2-2. To be fair, that was a big clash on the opening weekend, the teams that finished first and third last season. And going forward to the Sunday, not a good start for the Phoenix. They lose 3-0 in the distance derby, albeit that one, for some reason, they played it at Eden Park, which does seem a little bit silly when there's now a team in Auckland. And also the Melbourne Victory got off to a winning start 2-1 over Macarthur FC. But for now, we are top of the A-League. And to be fair, with our early run of fixtures, you'd like to think that's somewhere we can stay before we come back for tomorrow's episode. But that will do it for the first one of the new season. If you enjoyed the game and also the transfers that we did make, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. I think I'm going to skip over most of the first month of the A-League because, as I said, these first couple of fixtures do look pretty easy off the back of what Sydney Olympic just offered up in that opener, albeit Avondale do look like a handy team. Also, Australian Cup, Heart of Melbourne, well down the pyramid. That should be a game that we can rotate in. I think we'll come back either side of transfer deadline day. Western United at home, and then we can make up for not doing that bus trip at the end of last week when we take on the Western Sydney Wanderers at CommBank Stadium, our first bus trip of the new season. That will be the next episode, and we can kick on a bit off the back of that. So until then, hopefully, should still be top of the A-League, playing some teams new up to this division. Until tomorrow for a Western double, and also maybe a bit of transfer news involving Ahataran and Marinovic. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.